Hi, this is William, and welcome to another look. One of my favorite film-related conversations is to think about a director's filmography and examine the outlier. Not just a film that didn't succeed at the box office or was received negatively by critics, but a film that has always felt out of place, mostly due to the influence and popularity of the director's more acclaimed movies. If you think about something like Paul Thomas Anderson with Inherent Vice, or Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk, as more popular examples, these are films that seem to exist away from their most famous works, a departure for fans and a new avenue for the artist. But in watching these films, you start to recognize their hallmarks all the same, and they're vital to dissecting the director's filmography as a whole. When looking at the scope of a director's films, it's important to keep that context in mind. A director constantly reshapes their art, and if they usually worked in a particular genre or mode of storytelling, an outlier film can be personal in revealing ways. Not just for what kind of movies a director makes, but how they make them. Our main case study for today is Mario Bava. Praised by countless influential directors such as Martin Scorsese and John Carpenter, he was a foundational step for Italian horror. Artists like Lucio Fulci and Dario Argento carried the torch after the horror genre evolved, but his gothic sense of style resulted in some of the greatest horror films ever made. But we're not here to talk about his horror career. In fact, like many prolific genre directors, what they're most known for is not necessarily all they made. Mario Bava dabbled in gladiator pictures, spaghetti westerns, and crime thrillers, sci-fi and fantasy too, all while laying the basis for horror's next steps in Italy. But this key text rises above it all, and it's a piece of pulp fiction nonetheless. The title is Danger Diabolik. Released in 1968 and based on a popular Italian comic series, this would be the only time that Mario Bava would work with a major Hollywood studio, that being Paramount Pictures, as the film was produced at the same time as Barbarella, another slice of groovy late 60s pulp. Produced by superstar producer Dino De Laurentiis, Mario Bava struggled with creative control and budget concerns, but the end product is brilliant and beautiful and strange. Essentially, the story follows Diabolik, a master thief who steals for the thrill. His lover, Eva Kant, works with him, and usually the end result of their crimes is laying on top of the money and making love, living underground in a glorious hideaway. This bare-bones crime plot is enjoyable, but as with all of Mario Bava's films, the style reigns supreme. Along with an Ennio Morricone score, one of his best I might add, Danger Diabolik is a thrilling embodiment of Bava's films, but it's so very different than his popular works. You won't find vengeful spirits or whodunit mysteries, but the gel lighting and the emphasis on lavish production design is classic Bava. Take, for instance, the opening sequence, in which the police is attempting to stop Diabolik from stealing $10 million that's being transported from the bank. The inspector of the police even creates a diversion so that Diabolik will chase after fake money and not the real thing. But how Mario Bava sets up this sequence, the audience is aware of Diabolik's total control. We watch as Diabolik observes the situation, follows the car, and then eventually makes his quick appearance and escape with the money, diving into the water as the screen swirls and the Morricone music floods the speakers. Mario Bava's film is a pure stylistic exercise into the mechanics of pulp fiction. Its close relatives, Barbarella and 1966's Batman, also provide a campy knowingness and lavish sense of style, and the film would even influence Warren Beatty's Dick Tracy and others during a pulp resurgence in the early 90s. What Danger Diabolik brings to the table is a psychedelic edge to comic strip structure. From the rotating bed covered in money, with Diabolik and Eva covered in their stolen wealth, to Diabolik scaling a castle in search of emeralds, the images are fantastical, like something out of a storybook, but given a surreal energy. None of this movie is rooted in reality, but its cartoon world is so intoxicating that it's near the top of Mario Bava's films just based on that metric alone. There isn't really a complexity to Mario Bava's work. His films operate on an instinctive level, with scenes and moments that you feel rather than understand within the narrative. He's a visual stylist above all, and his stories find their sweet spot when the design communicates more than any character would. And whether you examine his horror pictures, his crime films, or even his early work on Hercules movies, it is the imagery that stands out, the totality of his eye in regards to color, light, and production design. Many of his films, Danger Diabolik included, has Mario Bava himself listed as cinematographer, even if it's uncredited. His filmography is uniquely his, especially when an outlier like Danger Diabolik exists. Its groovy images and soundtrack exemplify an artist at the height of his powers, and it deserves to be appreciated just as much as his landmark horror films. With a great director with a singular style, the idea of an outlier in a filmography means very little in the grand scheme of things. Danger Diabolik is just as much a piece of the puzzle as Blood and Blacklace or Kill Baby Kill, and it cements Mario Bava as one of the most memorable directors of the 20th century.